one of the things that sold us on SNC initially, and that I think has continued to like sell us, like why we've been sticking with you guys for a while, is the trackable platform that you have, where we can every month go on and see very basic, what was our ROI? We spent this much and how much did that make us, as like very basic. But all beyond that, you know, you can see like each individual, like what their conversion rates are, like how they answer calls, who needs coaching, who's like crushing it.
That's awesome. Yeah. One thing that I really wanted to talk to you guys about is that you figured out how to get an 800% plus ROI.
I think the things that we do are like, we try to be very transparent. We're not pushy, lots of photos.
Welcome back to another episode of Dental Marketing Go. I'm your host, Gary Berg. Today, I got a special guest, Dr. Ben and Dr. Jonathan out of Walnut Creek. They are absolutely crushing with marketing. Not only are they seeing an 800 plus ROI, they're also getting about 60 new patients a month. They're using AI to get them another 10 to 15 new patients, and they're just seeing amazing marketing results. They're going to break down how they've been able to do that, and they're going to give you all the ins and out. And at the end, they're actually going to give you a technique that they use to get their existing patients to absolutely love them and not call the office quite as much with things that they might need clogging up their front desks. Stay tuned for this one. All right, we are live, and I'm excited today. I'm going to be talking to John and Ben, who are clients of ours, and they've been absolutely crushing it in a really competitive market. And they said that they would come on and share some of the things that they're doing well to help other offices. So thank you so much, guys, for jumping on. I want to, first of all, just start at your marketing in general, because I know you made a statement. You said, you know, it's hard. We've done marketing over the years, but we have no idea. Like sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't, but we weren't sure if it was marketing or not. And one of the things that you guys have gotten a lot of clarity on is like what's actually working, what's not. Can you guys give me a rundown on that and how that's been for you guys just work since partnering with us?
Yeah, I think so. Like we've worked with a few different marketing companies over the years. And I think one of the big questions is always like, what are you getting? Like, is this working? And it's really hard to just answer that very simple question with a lot. We found that a lot of the other companies that would present their whatever cherry picked metrics that they wanted to use. And we couldn't really verify that. And so one of the things that sold us on SNC initially, and that I think has continued to like sell us, like why we've been sticking with you guys for a while, is just like the trackable platform that you have, where we can every month go on and see, you know, what was our, like the very basic, what was our ROI? We spent this much and how much did that make us, as like very basic. But all beyond that, you know, you can see like each individual, like what their conversion rates are, like how they answer calls, and who needs coaching, who's like crushing it. And so like just the level of detail, I think, is like, it shows you that it's working. It's very self-evident. You don't have to go digging to find that answer. And so that's what we really appreciated about working with you guys.
That's awesome. Yeah. The one thing that I really wanted to talk to you guys about is that you figured out how to get an 800% plus ROI. So last month, you're already seeing an 800% ROI. What are you guys doing to get these patients, these are all new patients coming in, buying treatment right away? Tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, I know that like every month when I talk with Leslie, she, like one of the first things she always says is, you guys get so many leads. Like you guys are just crushing it on the leads. And I think a big part of that is the marketing. I'm sure a part of that is also like some of the like the background organic stuff. Like, you know, like our practice has been here since 1954. It's been around forever.
You have a lot of good Google reviews.
Yeah, like, you know, we're well respected in the community. The doctors that have been here before us, I've been here like 8 years now. He's been here, what is it? 5, yeah. And so the doctors that were here before us were great doctors as well. And so like, just kind of we're building that momentum. And so that all definitely like,
well, that gets them in the door, but they're buying treatment, like they're buying treatment right away, and not just a little bit of treatment. They're buying a lot of treatment per patient.
Yeah. I mean, I think the things that we do are like, we try to be very transparent. We're not pushy, lots of photos. You know, we use an AI product that shows like x-ray stuff. And so we try to show patients, like, I don't just say, oh, you got a cavity here. I say, here's where your cavity is. You can see the computer is like showing you where the cavity is. So things like that, lots of photos of the problems. And I think we try to be like, I think we try to just treat people well the way that we want to do it. And
we spent this last year, we spent a good amount of time training staff. I guess about last 2 years now. A big inflection point was I read the book Unreasonable Hospitality. It's a book about the restaurant industry, but man, it equates to pretty much any industry. Just treating people not just with good hospitality, great hospitality, but the unreasonable part of it. And our staff love it. Our staff love to find ways to like blow patients' minds. And it's something that we always have to.
Give me a couple things, because the first thing that comes to mind when you say that is like Disneyland. You know, when you go to Disneyland and they do all these little things that you're like, wow, I've never, no one else does that, right?
We love it when a patient comes through the door on their birthday. We try and make it a big deal for them. If we can catch it enough ahead of time, we'll have like a birthday gift ready for them. As much as possible. Our hygienists are awesome at taking notes about what the
life
patient
events
likes to do. Yeah. And so, you know, if the patient's into gardening, we've gotten them like a 6-pack of succulents, you know, so, and you know, you do that for enough patients and word spreads. And that's been part of it.
How do you like practically? Okay. Cause I know how busy a dental office is. How do you practically like walk me through? Susan's coming in. You probably look at your schedule, 2 days before or a day before? Like, who's getting the succulents? Like, how do you do that?
That's the team training. We rely a lot on our assistants and on our front desk for huddling to prepare. And we ask them to do it as far in advance as we can. Even ideally when they make the appointment, it should be huddled. And so things like that, I'm sure, I mean, just like any practice, we could be better. I'm sure there's things that we miss that slip through the cracks. But the fun part about the unreasonable hospitality is seeing like the staff's energy and reaction behind it.
Got it. Okay. That's awesome. Like, that is amazing. You do that, you'll be really, really successful, and you can have an 800% ROI as well. I know someone's going to listen to this. Gary, my results aren't 800%. And the first thing I'm going to ask them, are you buying them succulents if they love gardening? And if their answer is no, I'm like, that's going to unlock it. That is amazing. I literally love that. And I love that because a lot of people say stuff like this, but you guys are like actually doing it. And so that's amazing. The other thing, I know I'm looking at your 800% ROI. One of the things that I know that's driving that is you started using the AI receptionist that we have. And I'm just going to give you this month, it takes all your missed calls and your after hour calls. You've had 13 missed calls this month that were new patients, 12 of them booked. So it's scheduling at 92%. Those patients, you would have never got them if it wasn't for they would have, you went to voicemail, hung up, and went to another practice. So that is driving some ROI here. What has been your experience with the AI receptionist? Especially a lot of doctors hate AI, like right out of the box. They're like, AI is bad. It's gonna hurt the patient experience. What are your guys' thoughts about that?
Well, I think we were really actually excited when we first started seeing this like particular type of product in the dental space. And I think again, it goes back to like our whole experience with SMC. Like, we have consistently had a pretty high ROI. And so like, if you're getting, our high ROI, the next question is, why don't you just spend more and then get more new patients and you keep growing faster? And the reason why we haven't done that or previously was always, well, like, you got to be able to answer those calls. And if we're getting more calls or we're spending more money, we don't want these to be going out. And I know like earlier last year, I was looking at the numbers before our call today, and like last year, towards the end of the year, we had some staffing issues and we were down staff, and our call answer rate dropped, and like to the point where it was at the low point, it was like 45% of calls coming in we were answering. And like, I don't want to spend more money on marketing if we're going to be getting a bunch of voicemails, right? And so when we started seeing stuff about the trackable AI receptionist, it's like, well, this is like exactly the solution to the problem, is that someone's always answering this call, even if they don't like nail it, knock it out of the park, best call ever, at least somebody's answering it. And then if they need to like get more information, we can get it on to the front desk. And so I can tell you, just looking at the last couple of months, now we're up answering calls near like 70+%. And so like obviously work to do, but like that's a huge increase. And I think that's a big part of why like it, like for us, that's like, like it's a no brainer. This is working really well. There's definitely issues to troubleshoot, like I think some people don't like talking to the AI. Some people don't mind it. But like I've been pretty on top of trying to go back and listen to a bunch of the calls and listen to as many of the calls as I can through the Trackable platform. And it does it captures the data that you need. It doesn't capture like stuff that you don't need. You don't, like I don't have a front receptionist spending 20 minutes getting to know, like all the details of this new patient's life. And then they no show the appointment. It's all like the AI receptionist, just gets the info that you need. It sounds like a real person. Some people know that it's not, some people don't, and then you move on, and it all happens in the background, and nobody has to actually talk to that.
The biggest thing that I've noticed too is like I argue with people on Facebook about this all the time. They're like, "Well, it ruins the patient experience," and I'm like, "You want to know what else ruins the patient experience? Going to the voicemail." You know what I mean? Like
totally.
That's a horror. So it's like it's better than that. Like that's for sure, right? And it's actually I've kind of looked at. Since you've started using it, it looks like you've jumped about 10 to 12 new patients, and it's $290. So you basically, without spending, you spent $299 more for an AI receptionist and got 10 to 15 more new patients. It's kind of a no brainer. And I think most dentists are in that range. Like that's what I've seen is like, you're going to get 5 to 10 more new patients for $299 a month.
Yeah,
totally. And a big part of it too, that I loved is, our staff is a big reason for that ROI. We're one of the best staffs in the country for sure. And we're proud of that. And John and I, we don't answer phones all day, every day. But a year and a half ago, we decided we wanted to start training our front desk on how to answer phones. And coming from dentists, it doesn't meld the way you want it to, they're kind of like, we do this all day, every day. We kind of know what works. And so, we got a little pushback and implementation for the order. I hesitate to say script, but it wasn't going as well as we wanted it to, and so this was a solution to that, and I think it's been really beneficial.
That's awesome. So you guys are seeing about right now you're floating like 60 new patients a month. Your high is like 80. What's the future look like for you guys? Like do you have a future goal, or where are you guys at overall as an office?
Yeah. I mean, I think our goal initially was to consistently get to the point where we're seeing 75 new patients a month. And I think we're creeping up towards that. I don't know if we're averaging that quite yet.
You're getting closer. Yeah.
But I've noticed that when we're there, our schedule is packed and we're just busy. Like everyone, like I think that would be capacity for us. And then we don't have a pathway like, oh, we're going to add an associate or do, expand or anything like that. But I think once we get there, then it's like, well, now we can have that conversation. Now we can start, thinking about it. We've talked generally, we've got big picture, thoughts about it, but we haven't but I think that's the pathway to get there, is to consistently be seeing, these new patients. And now that we've got the AI receptionist answering calls at the rate that we need, now it makes sense to maybe spend a little bit more on marketing if we're still getting that 800% at ROI, that would be
that's huge. Yeah.
Now
it's
it's
kind of a
well
no-brainer. Put $1 in, get 8 back. You do that all day. That's awesome. So one of the things that I know that you guys do really well is you take care of your patients. You guys are on a whole nother level with your team. You guys care a lot and you go the extra mile. So something that I noticed and we talked about before the show is that you guys actually built something to help your patients to be able to access all of their data. And this is huge because patients ask for this all the time and no one ever gives it to them. You know what I mean? Or it's like, no pun intended, it's like pulling teeth trying to get the stuff that they want. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, this, that, HIPAA, I'm not allowed to, all that kind of stuff. And so you guys actually built something called June Portal, June, June portal.com. And the patient can actually go in and access all of their data. Like Why did you build that, and how has that impacted your patient journey?
Yeah, this was probably born from that time where we were only answering 45% of calls and our front desk was just slammed. And, we've added virtual assistants. We've added this AI assistant. And one of the thoughts that we had was most of the phone calls that we're getting, they're new patient calls. Where else are they coming from? They're billing questions. They're reschedule or cancel. And so we decided, why don't we just build something in the days of AI and being able to build kind of whatever you want that fits your practice that helps our front desk. And that's kind of what's happening is, a patient that wants to reschedule, instead of, we're still in the very beginning of this process. We're alpha testing it. But now instead of a patient having to call, they can go on an app, just like if you were going to schedule an appointment at your barber. You can go online and schedule that. This is all just in the app. If you want to message the office, it's not a text message anymore. It's just in the app. If you want to view your last appointment x-rays, you can do that from the app.
It's just correct me if I'm wrong, but I have Kaiser. And so I just recently tore my bicep. So I had to go, and then I had to do these tests, and then I have surgery. It's all in the Kaiser app. I log in, everything's there. I don't have to call and ask them what
you can't even call.
You can't call. Yeah. Exactly. And I don't need to call because it's all right there. Like I can go in and it's almost too much information at times because they're pretty big. But for you guys, that's basically what you built, but for a dental office. Is that right?
Yeah. It's like, that's how people interact with the world these days, is through their apps, through their phones. They get push notifications for every reminder that they need in the world. And so we built something that does that for our practice, basically. So, their appointment reminders come as push notifications, just like their calendar reminder for, whatever call they have next, all of that stuff. And so, it basically appifies a dental practice. So they have the same, like all of their data that is hidden on our server. Now they can have access to their data, and they can, it opens up transparency, like they can see why we're doing what we're doing, and they can pay their bills, and they can see what the billing was, what the insurance paid, all that stuff.
They don't have to. It reduces the calls to your office too, right? Which reduces 100%. Manpower.
And that's the reason. It speeds up the process. Forms, consent form. This is something that kind of only a dental office would know. Like a consent form shouldn't be signed until the day of the appointment. But what do? We send that consent form 4 hours before the appointment. They can sign it on their phone. They walk in, they get their deep cleaning done. The consent's already signed. So it speeds up the process at the front desk, and
just a time saver.
Yeah.
Can other offices use this?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal. Yeah. I think one thing we'd like to do, we have a request demo on our website, juneportal.com, and we'd like to get a group of offices that want to be beta testers. We'd obviously decrease the cost, make sure that we're covered basically for all the overhead that we have to do, which is a surprising amount. But then basically, if anyone's interested in using this, agree to a monthly meeting just to see how it's going with us. And I think this has some pretty good potential. If you can transfer your patient base over to, you communicate with us through the app, that eliminates a lot of calls.
A lot of work.
For the
Yeah, that's huge. What PMSs do you guys work with?
We're on Dentrix, but the app works with 95% of dental practice management software.
Sweet. Okay, this is awesome. And then just like ballpark, what are you looking at price wise? Because you already know the dentist. That's the first question they're going to ask.
Yeah, totally. I think for the beta testers, like our minimum overhead, just being as transparent as possible, because we're pretty new at this point, is $250 to $300 per practice. Like adding a practice, that's like our monthly. That's what our integration software costs.
So so here's how I'd break that down for the dental offices listening out there. Is you can either hire another person to help you manage the phones and all those things, or you can get a couple AI agents to answer, and your guys' June to manage a lot of those. Like there's ways that you can spend a couple $100 rather than spending in California. You're probably spending $5,000-$6,000 right out the door, right? So it's like it reduces a lot of workflow. So this is something I'm just processing as we're talking about it. Like, there's so many ways that this could save a dental office a lot of money.
A big part of what we wanted to build is all these things that review management system, membership plan management system. If you have enough patients in your practice on this app, the app can do it. It's simple to build a push notification review request that takes somebody to a Google page. And so for our office, and I think this is what we plan on continuing to build for the app, is building a place where all these third-party dashboards that your front desk has to sign into just to keep track of can all just live in one home. Because that's what our front desk complains about, right? Our front desk complains every time we add a new thing, there's a new dashboard they have to learn, there's a new password, and so things kind of fall off the wagon. But what we wanted to do is build something that they can just go to one spot, and hopefully we can build out for other practices too. I think we can.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. And we'll get that out there. And then if there's anything else, do you guys think anything else we should cover? Or I think I got everything on my side.
I got one, I might nerd out a little bit here, but I got one little nugget that I got from listening to trackable calls. So I think it's really fascinating when you're listening to the calls. You can almost hear the moment when people realize they're talking to a computer. And I heard it over and over and over and over and over again. And I like when you mentioned earlier, like dentists worry about like the patient interaction or how it's perceived. There's actually, I Googled it. There's a term for when somebody realizes they start talking to a computer. It's called social presence collapse. So basically, like when you're having a conversation like this, there are certain like social expectations, like that we just treat each other kind of.
Yeah, I'm not going to burp. I'm not going to pick up a phone and talk to somebody else. Yeah.
And so when you realize that you're talking to a computer, that all goes away. And so it's defined.
Wait, what is the phrase called? I've never heard. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I've never heard it coined before. What is
social presence collapse? So it's when perceived human presence suddenly drops after AI detection. And the four things that it mentioned that tend to happen is one, conversational warmth drops. Two, speech becomes transactional. So it's less like having a conversation and more like, okay, what's the next command I need to give you to get you to do what I want? And then three is either, depending on the person, either patience will increase or patience will decrease. So for some people, they're like, oh, I'm talking to a computer, like I get frustrated. And some people are like, oh, I'm talking to a computer, I have to be patient to let it do its thing. It can only do so much. And then the last one is some callers will either like start simplifying their language or like they'll start testing the system to see what it can do. And I've seen all of these things on it. I think it's really interesting. So that's social presence collapse.
What's the takeaway from that?
I just think that like these days people are actually used to this kind of stuff. Anytime you call any big organization or company or anything like that, like AI is not like talking to an AI is not that scary. People have been talking to like unintelligent phone systems, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, for decades now. And so this is just like actually like a next step. This is, I think, even more helpful in that evolution. And so like, from my perspective, I had a lot of the same reservations that I think a lot of the dentists you talk to probably do, but like that hasn't been our experience that like people are so off put by this. I think people are like, okay, fine. They realize they're talking to an AI. They're just like used to that. And then they keep talking to it like that. And they get through the conversation. And now we have a new patient in our schedule and it didn't take up any of our front desk time.
That's so awesome. Yeah. I love that phrase. I'm going to be using that. I actually already posted about it in our Facebook group, but one last thought is I hear this a lot where people say, I hate AI. Every time I call the airport or the airlines or the IRS, their AI sucks. And I'm like, that's not AI. Those are prompts that they've built with automations, and they're literally made to be really painful. So you never call them again. You always go back to the website. Like AI, when you actually get on an AI agent that's good, they're really good. Like they're really good, and they'll help you get exactly what you need. And they're trained on that, and they'll always say the right thing. They'll always give the right answer. They'll always be available. And it's only going to get more. I have a doctor right now that lets AI answer all of their calls. He saw almost 200 patients last month, and it's scheduling at like 81%. And he just lets let's AI do it. You know what I mean? And it's one less thing for the front desk to do. And it's not like our front desk are just sitting around. You know what I mean? Like they're spread really thin. So 10 more patient calls that are 5 minutes each, that's a lot of time off the front desk schedule. So that's awesome. Absolutely love it. Thanks so much for coming on, guys. That's great.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. I know you're a big name in the dental world. And so thank you for taking us on.
My pleasure, man. I'm just out here playing around on Facebook. You guys are the real heroes. You guys are actually doing the dental work, doing the dirty work. So I appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome.